After making national headlines, this Michigan mother did end up spending 5 days in jail after failing to abide by a court order to have her 9-year-old son vaccinated. But there's more to the story.
Everything that's been reported in the news thus far has been skewed. My son's mother and I, we met a little over 10 years ago, and then we had a little wedding ceremony in the backyard of our dream house that we built. Shortly thereafter, we had some difficulties, but we stayed together during her pregnancy. So about 9 months after he was born, she decided to move out. Initially, when we split up, I was able to see my son every day. While she was working in the evenings, I would hang with my son and put him to bed every night. I could just tell that there was a power struggle about my son. My son was vaccinated as, at birth and as a baby, and he received all his vaccinations for the first 2-3 years of life. I had always asked her, please get him vaccinated, please get him vaccinated. There's 2 years, maybe 3 years of vaccination waivers that were signed without my knowledge, without my consent. He was missing his polio, varicella, MMR, and his hepatitis B. So 4 pretty significant vaccinations. I'm an advocate for vaccinations because I just don't want to have to worry about stuff that vaccines have eradicated. So when I filed for full physical custody a year and a half ago, the motion stated that I was filing for full physical custody as well as getting our son vaccinated because I had asked for years and it just was not happening. I'm a man of science and fact, and benefits far outweigh the risk. All I want to do is just be involved in my son's life and give him the best possible opportunity that I can.
In a doctor's exclusive right now, please welcome James and his attorney, Benton Richardson, to the show. Obviously, this story has been in the news, very controversial. James, maybe the most important thing we lose sight in this is what's the latest news with your son?
Went and had his vaccinations completed. He received his MMR, his hepatitis B, his polio, and his varicella shots, and he didn't even mind getting stuck with the needle.
Bennett, it seems like there was originally an agreement between the ex and the dad to go forward with the vaccinations, and then something changed, which caused her to have second thoughts about it and to say she wouldn't do it. Do we know what caused that?
We don't know what caused her to change her mind. What we do know is that there was a consent order that was entered on November 30th of 2016, signed by myself on behalf of my client, signed by her attorney at the time for her, that indicated that she was going to vaccinate the child. And I think when the court went through its sentence that day, it listed off any number of violations, not just the vaccinations, when they pronounced their judgment for the sentence.
This has been a pretty contentious custody battle, right? I know there have been allegations of Child Protective Services being called on you, James, like 3 or 4 times. Did that happen? Did your ex call?
It did. The first one, it was called because they said I was abusing my son, which I was investigated. They were all investigated, and they were all closed and dismissed.
When we see this, and when parents are entrenched in this negative custody battle that's ongoing, the only person who's really suffering is the child, because they are the ones caught in the middle. No matter how much you try to hide it, children can sense so much more than you believe. And even when they're younger, they know. And
important to note in this case, because I know people may be wondering, well, how is it that the judge got to make the final decision after the mom refused to? But that's what happened. When you're in a custody battle and the court has jurisdiction over the case, judges have to make decisions that are in the best interest of the child. Yes. And that sometimes means referring out to an independent evaluator or an independent medical provider to determine what should be done.
So is that in the case of the vaccine? Anything with the child where the parents disagree that is an important decision, the judge ultimately has to decide what is in the best interest of the child?
Which is why in these cases as lawyers, we always try to encourage parents to work it out amongst them, between themselves, because if the court gets involved, you may not like the ultimate decision of the court, but the court has ultimate jurisdiction, and the court doesn't care about all the fighting between the parents and the he said and she said. The court is going to be focused on that child. And we know in this case, the court determined, which I'm sure as medical providers, you agree that vaccinations was the right thing to do for this child, and the court ordered it to happen. I think that was the best outcome here. Now you have joint custody that's both physical physical and legal custody so you can make decisions, you can spend time with your son. And we know, Judy, that when kids have access to both parents, their outcomes are much better. Emotionally, developmentally, kids do better with both parents.
And they say in a debate like this, don't take sides, but I'm going to take the side of your son. And that's what we hope, is that your son has a long, prosperous, wonderful life,
With
and that
both
the two of you together, you know, do find a way through this.